If you're just getting started in Data Studio, you may have noticed that you can't do anything in it until you add a data source. I'm Amy Hebden with Paid Search Magic, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to put your data in Data Studio. Now, it's pretty easy. There's two main ways, and so let's just look at how to get started. Option one is to use Data Studio sample data. Data Studio essentially ships with different types of sources that you can connect to give you an idea of what it's like to use Data Studio without necessarily having to use your own data first. So you can see we've got samples from Search Console, for YouTube, AdWords, analytics. There's just a lot of different ways we can connect. So let's go ahead and just hit world population data. It'll ask us to confirm. Get used to that. It'll ask you a lot of times to confirm. And after we hit yes to that, we now have a fully functioning toolbar. We have a lot more options up here at the top, and over on the right side we also have ways that we have our different fields. We can start adding to dimensions, metrics, control the date range. Everything we want to do we can now do because we have a data source. So we require a data source before we can do anything else. Now we can go ahead and keep on adding charts if we want. But let's look at a second way to add data, because most of the time you don't need to use Google sample data. You actually have your own business your clients you're trying to report on. So let's look at what those steps are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way down here to the bottom. If you don't already have the data source connected, you're going to go all the way down here to the bottom to create new data source. Now, before I click on that, I want to show you one thing, which is that depending on how my browser is positioned on my screen, I may or may not even see this option. So if I were to just change this, I don't have that option anymore. So just make sure if you're not seeing an option to create that you've got your just your browser configured correctly. Okay, so now I'm back to maximize and I can see create new data source again. So I'm just going to click on that. What it's going to pull up is the different connectors that I have as options for ways to get my data connected with Data Studio. Now there are about 200 connectors, and some of them are basically owned and operated by Google. Unsurprisingly, the Google products such as Analytics, Ads, YouTube, BigQuery, Google Sheets, and then there's a lot of partner connectors that are also available. So if you were trying to import, say, Facebook data or connect with Bing ads or LinkedIn or Twitter, there's a lot of different options you can see. I'm not even going to try to name them all because they're updated very frequently. So if you're not sure how to connect with your data, spend some time looking around here. Now the third-party connectors, sometimes they're free, sometimes they're not free, so you're going to want to pay attention to that. But if there's certain data that you need to be able to visualize, sometimes it will make sense to even pay for a connector. Now, just a little tip, at Paid Search Magic, our favorite connector is Supermetrics. And if you're watching this video in 2020 and you go to Supermetrics and use Paid Search Magic as a discount code, you can actually get 20% off your Supermetrics purchase. So, we don't publish that on our site. It's pretty exclusive. So if you're watching this video, you can definitely take advantage of that. Now, on with the tutorial. I'm going to use Google Sheets as an example. So let's go ahead and click select on Google Sheets. And over here, we'll see all of my most recent sheets that are connected with my account that's also connected with Data Studio. If I wanted something I didn't see in this list, I could type that in here, or I could click on show more items. So I'm going to go ahead and select my spreadsheet, and what you'll see here is there's a series of worksheets that I can connect. If I want to connect multiple worksheets, I'm going to have to go back and add them one at a time. We're just connecting one item at a time, so if you're wondering why you can't do more, that is why. You're just going to connect the one, and then go up here to the top right where it says connect. So now that we've connected our source, we're going to make sure all the fields are correct. At this point, if you're just getting started, you probably don't have anything to change. So then you're just going to click up here at the top right where it says add to report. You're about to add the data to this report. I'm just going to confirm that. So now we have two different charts on our page. One of them is referencing Google sample data, and the other one is referencing our own data that's connected through Google Sheets. So the way Google Data Studio works is that one report can support multiple data sources. A single page can support multiple data sources. We typically are limited to one data source per chart, but there's even a workaround for that if you want to start using blended data that can support additional sources. We're not going to get into that now though, because we're just connecting our very first data sources. Now, if you want to change the data source from your chart, you just click on the name and you can see you've got all your different options as well as create a new data source, so you can definitely handle it like that. So I hope this was useful for you. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And of course, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. More than anything though, if you're just getting started on your journey in Data Studio, you just connected your first data source, I'm super excited for you and happy creating.